You may have heard, gave Dak Prescott the biggest contract in the history of the NFL. And then yesterday he was talking about his expectations. Listen.
Is a Super Bowl a necessity for you to consider the Dak extension a success over the life of the contract?
I'm going to call it a hypothetical because I'm not going to give you a straight answer. And that's probably a pretty good question. I will say this, that any time that we've ever made players the highest paid player, key players such as Troy Aikman, the most highest paid player in the game, we won Super Bowls.
That is factual, right? I mean, it is an accurate statement. Actually, Dak has played 8 seasons. Troy Aikman won 3 Super Bowls in his first 8 seasons in Dallas. That's the one thing missing from the resume.
Can we just have a moment, just a feel-good moment? Like, we finally got to the point where the guy got his money, and here comes Jerry Jones already making us, talk about, Dak on the hot seat, essentially. Like, I was there. I was there at that game. We talked to Dak after the game. This felt like elation. This felt like, yes, they finally got our guy. And Jerry starts off the week with, yeah, well, obviously the expectation is like Super Bowls, which he's not yet.
In this particular case.
If the logic follows that, why wouldn't you have paid him a long time ago? I'm just saying, if you got all the money you got, if that's the logic, I'd have signed him a long time ago.
Look, Dak Prescott, one might argue, has been under as much pressure as any player in the NFL for the longest time. Does having now the biggest contract in the history of the sport, does it increase the level of pressure a player feels?
I can't imagine that Dak Prescott can feel any more pressure than he's felt through the course of his career. At every turn, it's been us talking about it, them talking about it, Jerry holding out the money to the last minute every single time. I don't think this matters to Dak Prescott. Maybe it matters to Jerry, but he should take some responsibility. We spent a lot of this offseason critical about how willing he was to spend the money to make the team go. So you can't put it on Dak all the time. At some point, you're going to have to take responsibility.
And it's all on Dak. Make no mistake, it's all on Dak right now. Did Elliott look better? For sure. Red zone, they scored, which they couldn't do last year. All that is improvement. Howie Roseman got the Eagles better, too. Detroit is better. San Francisco's better. Like, the teams you're playing are legit. Jerry didn't go. He signed his guys. He and Steven didn't bring in guys to help the squad or bolster the squad. And Grimes was here yesterday saying, well, they believe in their back. Okay, well, so does every other team. But they go out and help. They're not just asking Dak, play above the numbers, play above the X's and O's to carry your team. Because if that's your ask, these other teams are better than you.
If anything, him getting his money actually probably relieves some of that pressure. Right? This is his second big contract. Right. He got what he was after. Now he can just focus on playing and being the best version of himself. In some ways, when Jerry says this, I take it as him like complimenting himself. Like, listen, you got to know I'm not just some guy, right? And he's being like, every time I give somebody money, it's because they're going to bring me a Super Bowl. So that's what it felt more like than putting him on a hot seat.
Kmart, you were there.
Yeah.
Did that game in the building, I know how we handled it Monday, did that game feel like it was more a referendum on how good the Cowboys are or how not so good the team they were playing was?
The pregame was all about Dak and his money. Postgame, it was what Deshaun Watson was that. That's really the storyline. So in that Cowboys visitors locker room, even CD was talking about like, yeah, I didn't really play well. You know what I mean? Like I did okay. Everybody understands, like, that Browns team, for as tough as they are, that was not a good showing by the Browns, and that wasn't a great showing by the Cowboys.
They were a playoff team a year ago with Joe Flacco at quarterback. That team is really good. And
the Browns, you're talking about.
The Browns. Yeah. That team is really talented and very good, particularly on defense. I think the Cowboys should be proud of the way that they controlled that game from start to finish and answered some of the questions. They're going to need to continue to answer these questions, but they answered some of the questions we had about their offensive line and their ability to stop the run.
Defense, yes.
They play a Saints team that just obliterated Carolina. Another one. Are they really much better? Was that just about the Panthers? This is an interesting game between these two teams coming up this weekend. In the meantime, Hawk, you haven't been here for this.
I have not.
What do you like for
Cowboys quarterback got the call that he was going to become the highest paid player in NFL history, a 4-year extension worth $240 million, $231 million guaranteed. By the time Prescott plays out the deal in 2028, he could potentially make more than $400 million in his career. He led the Cowboys to a 33-17 win against the Browns, going 19 of 32 for 179 yards and a TD. It's a good day to be Dak.
Right now, it's about celebrating this win tonight. Hell of a win with these guys. Excited for this plane ride back with them. But turning the page tomorrow, getting on to the Saints. and taking it one game at a time. But that's what is at the forefront of my mind. Not the money. It's about holding up my end of the deal, and that's winning. And I want to do it here.
What it means is a big commitment to the next 5 years, to our future, if you will. There's a lot of me that thinks I'd hope Dak is our quarterback for the rest of my time.
Dan Orlovsky joining the party. Good to have you with us, Dan.
Good morning. How are you guys?
What's going on?
We're good.
Yeah?
We're good.
It's good to be in the flesh.
It is good to be in the flesh.
Good morning, good sir.
I'm in the house.
How are you?
Said, how are you?
Boy, that haircut look just like Ernie.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, who's Ernie?
You'll figure it out.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Shannon,
Molly will tell you later.
Shannon, I'll start with you. Was that a statement win by the Cowboys?
No. They were Cleveland without their two right tackles. And it wasn't like the Cowboys had 500 yards of total offense. They ran the ball for 150 yards. Dak threw the ball for 300 yards. It was nothing to that. It was a situation where, look, they took advantage. Mike Zimmer knew that the ball was going to have to come out quick. They sat on a lot of routes. Deshaun really never had an opportunity because they couldn't run the football. They became one-dimensional early in the ball game. That's not to try to diminish what Dallas won the ball game. The defense looked very impressive. But your two right tackles, 79, the right tackle, oh my God, Stephen A., he couldn't block you. I mean, it should be a crime to be that big and that sorry. I mean, he couldn't block the sun out of his eyes. So when whoever got on his side, he was either false starting, illegal formation, or he's getting a holding call. And so I don't want to try to minimize that, but whether the statement win, no, because I think the right tackles not being there, both the left and the right tackle, and they started two backups, I thought that had a lot to do with it. But on the other side, man, to give Cowboys the defense their credit, but I thought the Cowboys played okay. They didn't do anything spectacular. Now, I can see them improving along the way, but I don't look at this as a statement win. I just thought that the Browns' offensive line was inadequate, and they couldn't do anything with the pass rush for the Cowboys, and it made them one-dimensional, and made it look worse than probably what it was. But I don't look at this as a statement win. They won the game. It had to feel good to Dak. He got his money earlier that morning, and he came out there and he played okay. But I don't think it was a great win, and I'm looking at them like, okay, yeah, they're absolutely going to be in the NFC Championship game. I don't look at it like that.
No, I look at it as a statement win, Shay, because, listen, when you have the noise that they've had in the offseason. You didn't go out there and get anybody. You waited forever to sign CeeDee Lamb and ultimately Dak Prescott. All right, you acquired Ezekiel Elliott in the offseason, and people were looking at that like it wasn't going to be anything. It wasn't going to matter so much, and it may end up being that way. One of the statements that you want to make is that if you're a contender, you want to beat up on people who are trash compared to you. And that's what the Cleveland Browns were. Trash. They were horrible. Now, I'm not saying they're a horrible team, but they might have a horrible quarterback. We don't know that yet. I'm certainly not going to sit up there and say that about Deshaun Watson definitively. But my brother,